Well, thanks, John, and good morning, everyone. I'm delighted to be a part of the program today just to kind of set the stage for a pretty cool and interesting topic. Thank you to the Leman Swine Conference and the University of Minnesota for convening this discussion on what is really a timely and critical topic, trade. I have to admit I was a little hesitant accepting the invitation to speak today. The original invite was for the global head of corporate affairs to come speak, but instead you have me, a 36-year-old lobbyist who may or may not have peanut butter in her hair from her 2-year-old's breakfast this morning. It's fine. I'll save it for later. But while I'm on the topic of food, it is a fact that some areas of the world can produce certain crops and livestock more efficiently than others. A Minnesota farmer's soy crop might end up in China, but her coffee probably came from Colombia. Pork from a producer in Iowa may end up on a breakfast table in Mexico, but the beer the farmer is drinking, hopefully not at breakfast, but no judgment, might be brewed with hops from Germany. The fact is, agricultural trade transforms products like pork, coffee, and peanut butter into more than just food. Trade transforms it into opportunity. The opportunity to raise and process a high-quality product for a growing international market, and the opportunity to purchase and consume food in regions where it can't efficiently be produced. So I'm going to skip the statistics that are usually thrown around on trade. They're behind me anyway. How many people depend on trade, the billions of dollars exported and imported, et cetera, because by now you've probably heard all of these statistics, but now you're probably actually feeling it, feeling the shift and the impact to the markets, to your businesses. We're feeling it too. Trade brings farmers, producers, and veterinary practices together. At Cargill, we understand how hard you're working every day to run your businesses, to navigate all of the regulations, ordinances, and bureaucracy. Trust me, we face these every day too. We're trying to make it easier and more profitable for our partners and customers to operate by spurring innovation around feed formulations, providing transparency and sustainability in our supply chains through the use of blockchain technology and data analytics. But these objectives will not be fully realized without free and open trade. With Cargill's breadth and scale, economies of scale, trade is something that we felt obligated to lead on, and we're incredibly fortunate to have a CEO who's willing to publicly speak out on this incredibly important issue, because global trade is critically important to our industry, and it's under siege, essentially. So in my brief remarks this session, I'm going to focus on 3 points that Cargill's been emphasizing for the past year. These points are still true today, but I think the geopolitical landscape and the gravity of the situation have changed drastically in the past year. So where do we go from here? Trade discussions should be focused on policy, not politics. Trade should not be used as a political football. It's an economic necessity. You're already seeing the impacts of this football game gone wrong, kind of like the Vikings and Packers game this weekend. It's fine. The price of soybeans has dropped dramatically as a result of retaliatory tariffs. And because of that, we're seeing a genuine and potentially permanent shift in international trade flows and a reorientation in the markets. Another example right here is the North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, that's provided the U.S., Canada, and Mexico with mutual access to one another's markets for the past 25 years. The policy alignment, economic cooperation, and integration resulting from this close trading relationship have helped solidify our shared position as one of the strongest, most competitive, and successful economic zones in the world. In 43 of 50 U.S. states, Canada or Mexico is the first or second largest export market. To be clear, we're not saying these agreements shouldn't be revised to reflect the 21st century economy, but the livelihoods of Americans and American farmers should not be secured on the back of politics. It can't be secured on the back of politics, but rather on sound policy. Simply put, there will always be opportunities to reassess existing trade agreements, but it's better to strengthen established frameworks rather than walk away from the negotiating table. Back and forth trade disputes only slow the economic engine on both sides of the equation. Any modernized trade agreements have to continue to foster the interconnectedness of the food system, improve global food security, and reinforce the importance of rules in the global trading system. Our world depends on it. Which brings me to my second point. Build the future, don't reconstruct the past. Don't tear apart past trade agreements. Build on their success and focus on ways we can help more people, communities, and countries benefit from trade. Lean on the things that have gotten us this far, and let's acknowledge past successes. For example, 1947, the year the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, or GATT, was signed by 23 countries in Geneva with the sole purpose of promoting international trade by reducing barriers like tariffs and quotas. This was the foundation for the rules-based trading system. The World Trade Organization, or WTO, formed in 1994. They're vital referees in any rules-based trading. A world without multilateral dispute resolution institutions like WTO is a world in chaos. Critics of WTO aren't acknowledging the benefits of a common set of rules, such as the agreement on the application of sanitary and phytosanitary measures, or food aid provisions. The WTO is not this thing out there working to undermine U.S. interests. They're working to the benefit of the people here in this room, ensuring that we all have access to markets and customers around the world. Imagine critical commodities, oil, food, metals, and manufactured goods used as bargaining chips at every turn. Imagine a world where technology and ideas can't cross borders. It's a world where nations can't feed themselves and those who are most vulnerable are exploited. It's a world none of us wants to see. And this brings me to my final point. Be advocates and activists. We teach our children to speak up when they see something that's not right. Let's practice what we preach. We need access to open markets, global trade to move food. The food that you and farmers across the country work so hard to produce, safe, nutritious, abundant food, must reach where it is needed. Each and every day you help put food on the table here in the U.S. and around the world. And to feed the world, we must speak up. Each and every voice in this room matters. Together, our voice becomes louder, with greater impact, and we all know what's at stake. Trade personally affects every one of us in this room, our families, and our livelihoods. For me personally, this is very real, not only for the businesses I support, but as a parent concerned about feeding the world. A world that is expected to have over 9.8 billion people by 2050. That's something I can get behind and I'm personally passionate about. I devote a lot of my time explaining to legislators and policymakers the importance of keeping markets open and to stand up for free trade. Feeding the world is what unites all of us, but we need to make our voices heard because the world is, quite literally, fed by trade. Thank you.